Please join me with Gasho. Within the Nembutsu and Shinjin, the pure life of the Buddha endlessly flows into our lives of defiled passions. And little by little, bit by bit, our lives, which are just like the utter darkness of hell, are transformed into the pure, brilliant life of the Pure Land. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Morning, everyone. I'd like to begin today's February Shotsuki Hoyo service for Monterey and Salinas with the chanting of the Sambujo, followed by the Hyobyakumon, and then the Sambutsuge and the Jusege. Namandavas, 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 Namandavas. Today, on this occasion, the Monterey and Salinas combined February Shotsuki Hoyo memorial services. The members of the Sangha have reverently come before Amida Buddha in memory of their beloved family members. With deepest reverence and thankfulness to the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida, we reaffirm the three homages. I go to the Buddha for guidance, I go to the Dharma for guidance, I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kia Boots, Namo Kia Ho, Namo Kia Soul, Namandavas, Namandavas, Namandavas. 의사스머려증여 오겐비기 이진르거그녀세엔여 어여도샨 지가츠마니 슈거엔여 가이시츠온베 윤약그저목그녀라이여겐 저세머린 셔가그나이연 거르지보 가이몬셔진 산마이지에 이덕금으려 슈셔게의진다이센넨 셔부츠호가이 의진진너 그거가이다이므며여근을 세선염은 인나시시진덕금으려 그근거나이 지혜진여 엄여 이서신도나이센 앙가사부츠사이셔호 마토셔지미브게다츠 버세려 이가이닌셔진 여세산마이 지혜 이정거세 덕으부츠 어겨시간 이사이 그그 이사나이란 개시어부츠 야그센너그만 어려나이셔 슈녕어자 어여 이사이 시도셔부츠 은영은옥 겐셔브야그 인영어자 셔브세가이 어브강에머시세스도 엄여시셔 헨시셔 거그 여세셔진 이진남려 영아사부츠 거그노나이지 어슈기며 너저 저세츠 거그녀나이연 니무도서 나도 아이멘 도나츠 이사이제 보라이셔 신네츠 셔저 이도나거그 에라그 안농 거부 신여 세가 신셔 오츠간너 히리기 셔셔여 제보세선 지에뭉에 여려시선 지가싱여 게려신시셔그너그즉 막여셔진 인즉 흑해 아몬조생안 이시무전어 싱앙부만석 세부조성안 나무려거 의이나이세슈 의사셔뱅느 세부조성안 나시저부츠노 cho jepo gyami shamon sebujo shongak 이역진 셔넨 여외 시봉여 시금어전어 이셔텐닌시 진기엔다이거 어셔무사이너 셔저상금여 오사슈야그난 아히지행엔 메시건너안 에서그셔아그너 스다츠센슈몬 도서저만석 이여러제법 예지가스슈즈기 댕거 엄부겐 이슈가이호소 호세그너그호 저어나이슈즈 세포시시그 의여 이사이붓 그서그슈더그혼 난내시즈저만 도그이상가요 여부츠무게지 스다츠미부쇼 당가그웨릭 도시사이쇼선 싱안야고가 아이센오간노 도그쇼텐닌 도진력해 Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Please join me in Gasho with the threefold refuge. Hard is it to be born into human life, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One, now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we, together with all sentient beings, awaken to the great way of enlightenment and to the unsurpassed intent of Amida Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we, together with all sentient beings, enter the storehouse of the Dharma, becoming like the wisdom ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we, together with all sentient beings, become units in true accord, in harmony with all things. The peerless, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rare to encounter, even in many hundreds and thousands of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Sankhya-mon, Ninjin ukegatashi, ima sudeni yuku, Buppo kikigatashi, ima sudeni kikiku, Kono mikonjo ni mukate dose zumba, Sarani izure no sho ni mukate ka kono mi wo dosen. Daishu moro tomo ni shishin ni sambo ni kiyoshi tatematsuru beshi. Mizukara butsu ni kiyoshi tatematsuru, Masani negawaku wa shujo to tomo ni, Daido wo taige shite mijo iko-san, Mizukara ho ni kiyoshi tatematsuru, Masani negawaku wa shujo to tomo ni, Kaku kyozo ni irite chie umi no gotoku naran, Mizukara so ni kiyoshi tatematsuru, Masani negawaku wa shujo to tomo ni, Daishu wo tori shite isai muge naran, Mujo jinjin mimyo no ho wa yaku sen mango ni mo au koto katashi, Ore ima kenmon shi juji suru koto wa etari, Negawaku wa mirai no shinjitsu gi o geshi tatematsuran. Namman dabus, namman dabus, namman dabus. Once again, good morning everyone, and thank you for attending today's February Shotsuki Hoyo for both Monterey and Salinas. As you know, during the service, we scroll all the names of family members, friends, neighbors in both Monterey and Salinas who passed away in the month of February. You know, prior to the service, as I prepare for the service, I put all the names on a list so that we can scroll them across the screen during the sutra chanting. And some of the names are unfamiliar to me, some are very familiar to me, and some are, you know, the last names I know of families who are still residing in Monterey or in Salinas. At both temples, I see these names scrolling by of current members, of current families. And I know that for all of you who live in those areas, many of these names are very, very familiar with you. And when I see those names, when we hear those names, we immediately remember those people. We remember their lives and how they're a part of our lives. As an example, on this list today is a good friend of mine, Doug Iwamoto. Many of you know him, grew up in Salinas, was a very devoted member of the Salinas Buddhist Temple. But what you might not know is that Doug and I have been friends since high school, since our days in the YBA. So when I hear his name, or I see his name on that list as I put it in there and as I watch it scroll by, I remember our days in the YBA. I remember visiting his home, meeting his parents, his sisters, and I think of him on the farm, and I think of his children, Stacy and Scotty, and I see Doug's face, and I hear his voice. You know, I tell Jane every time we drive into the Salinas Valley, I think about Doug. In the same way, when you see your family name on this scroll, whether it's your brother, your mother, your father, your sister, or a friend, it will bring back memories of them. And you will be able to visualize them. And it's just a name going across the screen, but it has a powerful effect on us. So it has a power, it has a function. When we think about our mothers, for example, when we say the word mom or mama or okasa, when we say that word, it immediately conjures up visions and memories of our mothers. We can see her face, we can hear her voice, and you will remember the things she said. You will remember the foods that she cooked. You will remember the things that she wore. There's so much about our mothers that we will remember. And it's just a word, but it has a powerful function behind it. You know, this service, it's sponsored by the temples. It's an observance in memory of all of our past members and the families of our current members. So it is our responsibility to acknowledge our indebtedness to all our past members, whether or not they still have families living in Salinas or Monterey. Because whether or not their families still live here, or whether or not they attend the services in their memory, we are still benefiting from them and their support and their patronage. So today I'd briefly like to talk about, we talked about names scrolling across the screen. There's a name that some of us have, some of us will receive. It's called a homyo, or a dharma name. Traditionally, everybody should receive a homyo while they're still living. Ideally, we should visit Honzan, or when the Monshu is here, we should receive that Buddhist name. But this is not always possible. So a homyo is presented at the funeral service. But even though a homyo is received earlier, it is still a common practice, and it's okay to receive a new homyo, a new Buddhist name at the funeral service. Both are okay. The reason being is that there's a difference between the homyo that we receive while we're still living and the one that we receive when we die. The homyo is made up of 3 Chinese characters. The first one is Shaku. Shaku is the family name of Shakyamuni Buddha. And when we receive that name, we then become part of the Shakya clan, a family of the Buddha. And then there are 2 characters. For example, my Buddhist name is Ho Se. Ho meaning Dharma and Se meaning vow. Okay. My teacher gave me this homyo, and when I looked at it, I thought, sounds like Jose. I didn't know if I liked it or not. But my teacher gave it to me, and so I couldn't say, no, I don't like it. It's thank you very much. And when I received it, I thought, this is wrong. The Dharma vow, that's not me. That doesn't describe me. And I thought the homyo was supposed to describe me. At a funeral, the homyo is given to the deceased, or even the same one is used if you received one already. But the meaning changes at the funeral service. For example, right now, Se is a goal for me, a vow. If that name stays with me at my funeral service, it still doesn't describe me when I die. But it does describe how my life continues to influence and take effect upon my family, my friends, my Sangha. There are many deceased with characters for kindness, for compassion, or other things like this. It does not describe the deceased as being kind and compassionate, but it is a reminder for us that their life, it continues to influence and take effect upon my life, your life. Kindness and compassion arises through their name. This is why it is not necessarily a common practice to take a person's everyday name and work it into a homyo, although sometimes we do that. It is also why it is common that a new homyo can be given or is given at the funeral service. Again, because it is a reminder of how that person's life continues to influence, continues to take effect upon all of our lives. This is exemplified by the way the homyo is given. It begins with shaku, and then the 2 characters. Until recently, this homyo was followed by shinshi or shinyo. And this has changed recently, and we don't see that so much anymore. About Shinnan's time, and a bit after that, the character Futaiten was used. Futaiten implied that the deceased is in a state of non-retrogression, that there is no falling back into samsara, but the deceased has reached the Pure Land. We will never forget their thoughts, their words, and their actions, and they will always influence our hearts and our minds. Irregardless, the Homyo in our Jodo Shinshu tradition is a powerful reminder of the infinite and boundless wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha and the continuing influence that our loved ones have upon our lives. So if you do have a Homyo, please take a look at it. If your family member who has passed away, they have Homyos, take a look at it. It has meaning, it has significance for you. So again, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for joining. And now if you'll all join me in the Gatha Ondok-san 2. May the wisdom of the all-compassionate one so shine within our hearts and minds that the mists of error and foolish vanity of self be dispelled. So shall we understand the changing nature of existence and reach spiritual peace. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending today and joining us for the combined Monterey and Salinas Shotsuki Hoyo service. I'd like to make a couple of announcements today before we close. The National Buddhist Churches of America Eitaikyo Memorial Service will be held next week at 10 o'clock, and you can view that service on the BCA, or Buddhist Churches of America, YouTube website. So please join all of us nationally for that very important service next week at 10 o'clock. Some of you in Watsonville are playing bingo with us, and so I want to read this week's bingo numbers. First number is B2, B2. Second number, G48, G48. Third number, I29, I29. And the fourth number, N37, N37. And the fifth and last number for the week, G46, G46. If you do get bingo, please contact the Watsonville Buddhist Temple office. And because next week we are going to have the National Eitaikyo service, there will be no reading of bingo numbers next week. Everyone, please take care, be safe, don't forget to social distance, wear your masks, wash your hands regularly and often, and please be well. Thank you very much. Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much.